video, and Merry Christmas to those of you out there that celebrate Christmas. This video will be coming out on the 25th, so for those of you celebrating Christmas, I hope that you had a fantastic day with the people in your life that you love and cherish, and I hope that any gift giving that happened was good and that you had a fantastic holiday. Today I wanted to take a look at the NHL standings because the league is on pause until after Christmas. So everything is static for the time being, and there won't be, any movement in these standings until after this video is released. So this seemed like a good time to put this video out. So what I want to do first is bring up the predictions that I made before the season started. Before the season started, I put out a video talking about my predictions for the final divisional standings in the league. Now, obviously, these are not the final standings. There is still, half a season to be played, pretty much, but I just wanted to take a look and do a comparison between what I expected to happen and what has actually happened so far this season. And already, as I was setting up the spreadsheet, I could already see which mistakes, which things I overlooked, which things I didn't, account for. So first, let's talk about the Pacific Division. My predictions for the Pacific Division was Edmonton in first place, Vegas in second place, Seattle in third place, Vancouver in fourth place, Calgary in fifth place, Los Angeles in sixth place, San Jose in seventh place, and Anaheim in the eighth and final spot in the Pacific Division. Now, if you've been paying any attention to the NHL this season, you can already see what I've gotten incorrect here, but let's take a look at the current Pacific Division standings. As you can see, the Vegas Golden Knights are currently in first place with 40 points in 32 games. And the Anaheim Ducks also have 40 points, but they have fewer wins, so they are taking the second spot. The Calgary Flames are in third place with 36 points. The Edmonton Oilers are in fourth, also with 36 points, but they have fewer wins than the Flames. Actually, excuse me, they do have more wins, but they also have more losses. The Flames have 6 points from overtime losses, so that is making up the difference there. Then, in fifth place, we have the Los Angeles Kings with 33 points. In sixth place, we have the San Jose Sharks with 31 points. In seventh place, the Vancouver Canucks with 30. And the final spot in the Pacific Division is going to the Seattle Kraken with 23 points. So, obviously, the Anaheim Ducks, I had them all the way down here in 8th. But in actuality, they're second right now. I definitely underestimated how good they would be. A lot of their young players have really stepped up this season. Trevor Zegras is obviously huge difference maker on that team. He has injected a ton of energy into their lineup and just really revitalized them. And they look so much better with Segerson there. Troy Terry has also looked really, really good this season. Troy Terry was not a guy that was really on my radar. I wasn't really considering him as an option to be a difference maker on this team, but he has been. And Troy Terry and Zegras, that entire Anaheim team is very quick, very electric. They move the puck well. They're up and down the ice fast, and it's really hard for teams to handle a team that plays that style. So Anaheim definitely, overperformed my expectations. I'm taking a big L on that one. Now Edmonton, they have dropped down to 4th. But there was a point in this season where they were in the top spot, and the team was absolutely buzzing. I think if you saw my video from a few weeks back where I talked about the biggest surprises of the season so far, I talked about the Oilers in that video and the hot start they've had, or that they were having at the time. Draisaitl has kind of cooled off a little bit. He hasn't been as dominant in these last few games they've been playing, and I think he's gone a few games now without a point. So just overall, the team has kind of come back down to earth, because I was kind of half expecting that to happen, because when you're a team that's basically just 2 guys, they can only do so much before they get tired, they get burned out, etc. So the Oilers, they are not in 1st, they are in 4th. But the Oilers are on a 2-game win streak. The Flames are on a 4-game losing streak. So I definitely think it's possible for the Oilers to hop back into the top 3 here. So I'm not going to give myself like a red L on this one. I'm going to go with like a yellow. Like half. Oh no, let's not do yellow. Let's do orange. It wasn't like a big mistake on my part, because like I said, for a part of the season they were in the 1st spot. And I definitely think that they could climb back up the standings a bit. I do not think it's likely that they will get back into the 1 seed, but I could definitely see them ending the season either the 2 or the 3. Vegas, I predicted them to be the 2 seed, and they are currently at 1, although Anaheim is tied with them in points. So if it comes back out and Vegas gets a loss and Anaheim gets a win, then Vegas will drop down to the 2 again. They're basically right there on the razor's edge. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights have been they've been persevering through a ton of injuries. Mark Stone just got hurt again in the last game, so I actually do think it's likely even that they will go on a bit of maybe 1 or 2 more losses after this break until Mark Stone gets healthy, because right now you have Mark Stone out, Eichel, of course, there's a bunch of big names that are hurt. So even though I was off by 1 spot, I'm still going to give myself a green on this one. I think I did okay on this prediction. I don't think this is egregious in any manner. Now, Seattle, this is just an L. I was dead wrong about Seattle. I thought that their defense and their goaltending would carry the team, even though I thought that their scoring was weak. I thought their forwards weren't very deep. But the goaltending in Seattle has not been fantastic this season. I thought they had 2 really good goaltenders, and on paper they do, but they just aren't able to really step up and get wins. The Seattle Kraken have lost a ton of games where they had a multi-goal lead, but then the other team comes back and wins. I don't know if they've had a shutout this season. They might not have. And that's just really bizarre to me with their combination of defense and goaltending, but that is what it is. They look like an expansion team. The Canucks, I'm definitely taking an L on the Canucks. I thought they were going to be better than last season. They have been pretty much worse across the board from last season. Pettersson has basically disappeared. I'm not sure what's happened to Elias Pettersson. He just has not really gotten the job done. He hasn't looked like he did last season or the season before, so hopefully he can get back into good form. They recently they basically cleaned house. They got rid of their coach, they got rid of their GM, all those guys, and the team did go on a winning streak under Bruce Boudreau, the new coach. I believe it's Boudreau. As you can see, the Canucks are on a 6-game winning streak right now. So I would maybe even expect them to climb up. I could see them surpassing the Sharks and perhaps even the Kings by the end of the season, but for the time being, I am taking an L on the Canucks. But hey, if they continue their winning ways, they could end up potentially in that 4 spot. Hold on. That mute button really comes in handy there, because I just had a big sneeze and it wow, yeah, completely saved the recording there. Calgary, I had them at 5. They're currently at 3. I don't think that's that big of an L. I'm gonna give myself another orange on that one. Calgary has looked good this season. They actually looked better than I had expected. They had guys step up that I wasn't really expecting to step up, I have to be honest. I think even Milan Lucic is having one of the most productive seasons of his more recent career, so that's been exciting to see. I'm gonna go ahead and also give myself, let's see, the Kings are 5 and the Sharks are 6. And I have 6 and 7, so I'm gonna give myself greens on these, just because I think overall I got the overall impression of these teams correct. I said that the Los Angeles Kings were a young team on their way up, and they were definitely going to be a championship caliber team, but not this season. And I think that prediction pretty much tracks where they have been at. And how they've been performing. And I said the San Jose Sharks, they have too much money tied up in, older players. They're not getting what they need, and I obviously couldn't predict the Evander Kane drama and things like that happened this season, but overall I think I got the overall vibe of those teams correct. Now we're moving to the Central Division. My predictions for the Central was first place Colorado, second place Winnipeg, third place Dallas, fourth place St. Louis, fifth place Minnesota, sixth place Chicago, seventh place Nashville, and eighth place Arizona. Now I'm going to have a lot less to say about the Central, the Metropolitan, and the Atlantic compared to the Pacific, because I watched the Pacific Division way more than those other divisions, so I paid, the Golden Knights are my favorite team, so I pay attention to the Pacific Division. I watch more Pacific Division. So I'm going to have less insight into these other 3 divisions, just putting that out there right now. But those are my predictions: Colorado, Winnipeg, Dallas, St. Louis, Minnesota, Chicago, Nashville, Arizona. Now we go and let's look at the actual Central Division. And we have the Minnesota Wild in first place. The Minnesota Wild have been on a tear this season, a real caprice Kaprizov has been showing why he demanded so much money and how important he was to that Minnesota team. Kaprizov has looked amazing. I'm not sure where he lies league-wide in points, but he's definitely leading the Minnesota Wild in points. He may be leading the entire Central Division. I'm not 100% sure, but Kaprizov has looked like an absolute monster. He's one of the best skaters in the entire league right now. And I was just dead wrong about Minnesota. I thought that they were going to struggle a bit this season. I thought that maybe that not last season was a fluke, but just that they would go back to being the Minnesota Wild that we all know and love. But that has not been the case. Dead wrong on Minnesota. I predicted them 5th. They're in 1st, and I'm not sure if they're going to end the season in 1st, but it's definitely a possibility, if not likely. 2nd place, Nashville Predators. They're on a 7-game win streak. I definitely did not see that coming. Nashville has looked really good, just as like a cohesive unit. The whole team is just stepping up. They're playing well, and after their performance last season and even probably the season before that, I didn't see it coming for them. I think I said that I wasn't really sure what the roadmap was in Nashville. My opinion of the team was that they were kind of a team between two worlds. They had missed their championship window, and they had not yet committed to a full rebuild. That was the impression I got of Nashville. But, hey, it shows, I guess, the power of perseverance. Not always, but it has worked out for Nashville, because I don't really think anybody predicted this season for them. Certainly not any of the places I looked at predicted anything like this for Nashville, but they've had a fantastic season. They've been a very exciting team, and sorry for the weird cut. Somebody rang our doorbell, and then they weren't there, so that was exciting. Moving on, we have the St. Louis Blues in 3rd place. I predicted them in 4th. That's another one that I'm going to give myself an orange on that one there. St. Louis, I don't have a lot to say about them because unfortunately I haven't really watched much of their games this season, but actually I'm not going to go orange, I'm going to go green on this one. I'm going to go green on St. Louis because I was only one spot off, and it's 4-3. Is there really that much of a difference? And they very easily could end up being the 4th spot because the Colorado Avalanche are only 3 points behind them, and the Colorado Avalanche have 4 games in hand over the Blues. So I'm giving myself a green on this one. Next up, we have the Colorado Avalanche. I predicted that they would be the 1st spot in this division. I thought that after last season and how they went out in the playoffs, they would be hungry, they'd be fired up, and they would want to, basically put the league on notice and say, hey, we're still here, all that stuff, but they've looked a little lethargic at times. McKinnon has not looked himself, Rantanen has not looked himself, and I think Makar has been very good. Makar is most likely going to win the Norris this season. Makar is easily leading all defensemen in points, goals, and assists. He's got all of that going. He has been an absolute animal. But it's just been everybody else on that team not named Cale Makar. The goaltending definitely has taken a little bit of a step back. They definitely miss Grubauer. Even though Grubauer has not looked that good in Seattle, I think that in this Colorado system, he would look better, and Colorado would also look better. Winnipeg at 2. They're actually sitting at 5. I've always kind of said that I thought Winnipeg would be the Canadian team most likely to win a Stanley Cup first. It just kind of felt like they were closest. I felt like they had a really good, solid team with good chemistry and all that, but it just hasn't happened for Winnipeg. And I think they're kind of starting to be on a decline now. Even though they have, what's his name now? If I go to the Jets, am I gonna see, like, scores? Who am I thinking of? Pierre-Luc Dubois. He's, one of my favorite players in the league, and he has been good for them, but it just hasn't really translated to what they wanted. And I don't know, I kind of feel like Winnipeg is maybe, I'm not sure where they're headed. They were a team that I kind of felt was one piece away or two pieces away, but now I'm not so sure. I predicted the Dallas Stars to be 3rd. They are down in 6th. They have not looked that great this season. They have not looked very cohesive. They just kind of, I don't know, they reached the Stanley Cup final 2 seasons ago, right? Wasn't that 2 seasons ago that it was Dallas? And then since then it's just kind of been downhill. And I think what I said originally was that I thought that last season could have just been a down season for them, and they were going to go back to their ways, go back into the winning that got them to the Stanley Cup final, but it just hasn't really happened for them. And now it doesn't help that they are in a division that is an absolute meat grinder, but they just have not looked that great this season, Dallas. Then we have the Blackhawks in 7th. I predicted them 6th, so I'm going to give myself a green on this one. I pretty much got it right. And I think my prediction is basically spot on. I just said that, they're an aging team, and they kind of have this weird mix of, like, talent that is not yet ready to, like, take the next step and take them all the way, and they have talent that is starting to decline from their prime and can't shoulder the entire load anymore. And then you have Marc-Andre Fleury going there after winning the Vezina, and he's been okay. He's had some games where he's looked really good, he's had some games where he looked really bad, and overall Chicago has just kind of been a weird up and down team. They've had periods of time where they looked like they could maybe do better, but then reality would hit and they would just kind of go back down. And finally, Arizona's a dumpster fire. It's not getting better. They had an issue earlier this season where they had unpaid taxes, and the arena, the city of Glendale, was like gonna shut them out of the arena. It's just an absolute disaster over there in Arizona, and I hope something gets figured out, for Coyotes fans' sakes, for the league's sakes, because having all this stuff happening with the Arizona Coyotes just makes the NHL look kind of bush league. You shouldn't have no professional sports franchise should be, like, having back taxes and unpaid taxes and stuff. It just looks like a joke. I'm drinking this Dr. Pepper cream soda. It's actually pretty solid. Then we have my predictions for the Metropolitan. I have the New York Islanders in first place, Carolina Hurricanes in second, the Pittsburgh Penguins in third, the Washington Capitals in fourth, the New York Rangers in fifth, the Philadelphia Flyers in sixth, the Columbus Blue Jackets in seventh, and the New Jersey Devils in eighth. Now let's take a look at the actual standings. And here is the Metro. Now, somebody actually left a comment on my original standings video saying that I had the Rangers too low, and I kind of brushed that off. I was like, the Rangers, they're too young. I didn't really expect them to do much, but hey, shout out to that commenter. They were spot on. We have the Hurricanes in first place in the division. They have 43 points. They're tied in points with the Washington Capitals, but they have more wins, and they also have fewer games played, so I have Carolina at 2. I'm still going to give myself a W on that one, just because I think my reasoning is still spot on. I said that I thought the Carolina Hurricanes would be very good this season, and I believe I even said that I thought that it was possible they could be the 1 seed, but I thought that coaching was going to make the difference, and coaching was what was going to put the Islanders into the 1st seed with Lou Lamoriello there in New York. So that was my reasoning there, and I mean, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm fairly certain that at the time I did say that it was possible that the Hurricanes rather could end up being the 1 seed instead of the 2. So I'm still giving myself a W on that one. The Capitals, I had them at 2nd here, or they're 2nd in real life. I had them at 4th. I'm gonna go orange on this one. I don't think it's a total L, but it was a bit of a miscalculation on my part. What I said about the Capitals was that I thought that they were going to be okay, but I thought that with them getting older as a team, and not having a lot of blue chip young talent coming in, that they would struggle a little bit in a cramped division. But that has not proven to be the case. They have remained competitive, and they are tied in points with the top team in the league, although they have played more games, so you have to take that into account. But Ovechkin has been on an absolute goal-scoring tear to start this season. He is determined to get that record, and it shows. I think he already broke the power play goals record this season. I'm not 100% certain, but I think Ovechkin either tied or broke the record for most power play goals already. So there we go. Let's just get the Islanders out of the way. The Islanders are all the way down here at the bottom of the division. They only have 22 points, and they have just looked really bad this season. They've looked completely discombobulated, and I was dead wrong about the Islanders. And the thing is, I'm not really sure, what exactly their problem has been. That's probably a combination of me not watching the Metro Division that much, just because, my 2 teams I root for, Vegas is my main team, but then I also like the Leafs, so I really don't watch the Metro that much, except for when one of those teams plays them. But I don't know, because Vegas just recently played the New York Islanders, and I thought, by the eye test, the Islanders actually looked pretty decent, but for some reason they just haven't been able to get and maintain any momentum this season, and they are buried at the bottom of the Metro right now. Pittsburgh, I predicted them 3rd. They are 4th, so I don't think that's really that bad. I'm going to give myself a green on that one. What I said with Pittsburgh is, they have Crosby, they have Malkin, they have these guys that you can't really ever count out, and I think they have a combination of good young players and good veteran leadership and all that stuff. So I think overall, even though I was 1 spot wrong, I got the overall vibe of the team wrong with Pittsburgh, or I got the overall vibe of Pittsburgh correct, whereas with Washington, my reasoning for why the team would be one way or the other was wrong. So that's why I'm giving myself an orange. The Rangers, I predicted them to be 5th. They are 3rd. And I have to give myself an L on that one because, my reasoning was that they were too young of a team overall to be competitive. But they have shown that that is not the case. They have their youth has not been a detriment to that team. And that one commenter on my video, I'm sorry I don't have his name offhand, but they're absolutely correct. I had really read this Rangers team wrong, and they definitely are already, even with as young as they are ready to step up and compete. And even if they don't make much noise this postseason, I think that they have a very bright future ahead for sure. And they should, theoretically only be getting better and better over time. Philadelphia, I had them 6th. They are 6th. Look at that, right on the money. Boom, that's a W. Columbus, I had Columbus 7th. They are 5th. I'm going to give myself an L on that one. They just, I thought that they were going to be a little bit more competitive. And I think that even though they are in 5th, they just aren't really that competitive. And I don't think that Columbus is really a postseason threat. And I was I'm not 100% certain, but I think in my predictions I said that with Laine there now and some of the weapons they have, I thought that they were going to be making more noise. And I think I even questioned maybe, excuse me, the opposite. They are making more noise than I thought they would. And Laine, I thought he was basically going to be their only good piece, but that everybody else around him was going to be bad. But even though they aren't super competitive and they probably aren't going to, to make the postseason, they have been better than I expected. I predicted New Jersey in 8th. They ended up being 7th. I'm going to give myself green here. They just haven't really looked that great outside of Jack Hughes, in my opinion. Now, Jack Hughes has looked really good, but overall, New Jersey, I think, is just too young to compete right now, and they're still building. But I do think if they can build a team around Jack Hughes, he's looked so good that he definitely can be a franchise piece. And if you build around him, they could start making noise maybe in the next 2-3 years or so. Alright, finally we come to the Atlantic Division. My predictions for the Atlantic was Florida in 1st place, Toronto in 2nd place, Tampa Bay in 3rd, Boston in 4th, Montreal in 5th, Ottawa in 6th, Detroit in 7th, and Buffalo bringing up the rear. And here is your Atlantic Division standings. The Tampa Bay Lightning are currently in 1st place. They have 44 points in 30 games. And most recently, they did just beat the Vegas Golden Knights in a very tightly contested 1-goal game that caused me to descend into alcoholism for a few hours. They have won 3 games in a row, and they look like they could be a team that could, maybe win 3 Stanley Cups in a row for the first time in a long time. That would be, if they could pull that off, that'd be interesting. I'm sure there'd be a lot of people very upset by that, but with things like that, you always just kind of wonder to yourself if it can happen. So I'm going to give myself an orange on this one, and my reasoning, I said that I thought Tampa Bay would kind of just coast in the regular season because they'd won 2 Stanley Cups. And I think I kind of even questioned whether or not they would really try that hard or care that much about their regular season record. I said that they would be competitive and win games, but that they understood that seeding didn't really matter, and as long as you get into the playoffs, the better team can win. So I'm giving myself an orange there because I think that prediction was about half right. Now Toronto, I predicted them as 2nd. They are in 2nd. I'm giving myself a green there. And Toronto has looked very good this season. Austin Matthews has emerged as one of the best players in the entire league. There was some stat I saw put out the other day that was comparing him and Connor McDavid, and in certain categories they're defensive side of the puck. And Matthews has kind of turned into this two-way center that, a lot of people don't realize how massive he is. He's a big guy. And he has shown that he's looked really good this season, and that entire Toronto team has a ton of firepower. They score a lot of goals, and they've looked really dangerous this season. Florida, I had them at 1. They are at 3. They've lost 3 games in a row, but they're not that far behind the other teams in the division. And at one point early in the season, they were really good. They went on like a franchise record, amount of wins. They in my NHL surprises of the season video, I talked about their hot start. So I think I do have to give myself a green on Florida, because I think overall I got the feeling of the team, the prediction of the team correct. I just got the exact seeding wrong, and that 1, 2, 3 spot in the Atlantic is so tightly contested that I feel like it's alright. I'm not that hard on myself there for just being 2 spots wrong. Only 4 points separate them from Tampa, and they have a game in hand. So, and for part of the season, they were in that 1 spot. So, I feel comfortable giving myself the green there. I predicted Boston in 4th. The Red Wings are actually in 4th. So let me do this now. I'm giving myself L's on Detroit, and I'm giving myself an orange on Boston. Detroit has been extremely surprising for me, and I think for a lot of people this season. Lucas Raymond has just been killing it. They have a lot of young talent on that team that is just meshing really well. They play well together. They play an exciting brand of hockey. And Detroit's actually super fun to watch this season. I kind of think of them like I think of maybe like a more successful, this season at least, Vancouver Canucks, young team, playing exciting. Or maybe kind of like a better New Jersey Devils. That's kind of the way I'm looking at Detroit right now. Boston is just, they've kind of looked out of sorts a little bit. They've been missing Marchand a little bit of this season, and they've been missing different guys, but they've been, like the perfection line, as people like to call it, has just kind of been, I don't know. They're alright, they'll probably make the playoffs, but I think I got the overall opinion on that team incorrect. Now, I had Montreal at 5th. They are down here at 8. They only have 17 points this season, coming off a Stanley Cup win, or a Stanley Cup finals loss. I was dead wrong about Montreal, and I talked about this in my, the season surprises video. They took a huge step back after that Stanley Cup playoffs. It was really surprising. Now, I did predict them to take a little bit of a step back. I'm kind of loath to use the word fluke. It just kind of feels cheap to throw the word fluke, but I think I said in that predictions video that if the playoff format and the regular season format for last season was different, Montreal would not have even sniffed the postseason. And the only reason they went as far as they did was because of the divisions being so weird last season. And I think that point has been perfectly illustrated this season, because Montreal's down in 8th. Now, obviously, they're missing a ton of players. They've had a lot of injuries. They have more money in the injury reserve than they do on the roster, and I'm not going to discount that. But I think that even if they did have a fully healthy roster, they would not be that good. I predicted Ottawa in 6th. Ottawa's in 7th. The Sabres are in 6th. The Buffalo, I'm going to give myself an orange on Buffalo and a green on Ottawa. Buffalo has at times looked better. pieces there that they need to build something better going forward. They just aren't there yet, but they have been better, which is good to see. And I hope they can continue to progress. Now, obviously, they traded Jack Eichel earlier in the season, and Alex Tuck is there for them now. He's a really good younger player. He has yet to play a game for them. I think the game that he was going to make his debut in ended up getting postponed, so he has yet to play for them, but I'm excited to see what he can do there. And Ottawa, I basically said Ottawa is not a good team. They're still building. They need to get, better draft positions. They need to continue to get prospects and build out that team. And that's basically what they're doing. They've looked okay at certain times this season, but overall they're still just a young, rebuilding team, and they're playing like one. So this is my predictions compared to the real outcomes, and then kind of color-coded based on how I feel I did. Surprisingly, I did the best in the Metropolitan, even though I kind of feel like that's the division I know the least about, so that's a little surprising to me, but there we go. Those have been the standings for the NHL as of the Christmas Day pause. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, Merry Christmas to those of you who celebrated. I hope you have had an absolutely fantastic Christmas Day, and I hope you have a fantastic New Year as well. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments below, what you have thought about this NHL season so far. If you have any comments about my predictions, if you have any comments about the standings of the season, I would love to hear it. Love to hear it. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this every single day. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.